In one of the ugliest games I've seen in a really, really long time, the Eagles beat the Packers on Monday Night Football with a score of 10-7, now putting the Eagles in the first seed for the NFC and the Packers all the way in the seventh. This was a huge game going into this for both teams, especially now that Detroit won on Sunday, put more pressure on the Packers. Even the Bears beat the Giants as well. The Packers are now behind the Bears and the Lions in the NFC standings, and of course the Eagles win puts them, not necessarily puts them, it keeps them at the number one seed, and it just puts them on such a good trajectory for the future. We'll get into that at the end of the video. Now let's actually get into the game. Like I said, that was one of the ugliest games I've watched really in a really long time. Like, I'm trying to really work my memory here, and there's been some ugly Eagles games, but the fact that it was 0-0 going into halftime, like, I was at a watch party. I was at a watch party with, like, probably 15 people. These people were ready to party, ready to see a banger game. We did not get that. Did I still think it was a good NFL game? Sure. Probably because my team was involved. There was a little bit more stakes. You know, it's a big game seating-wise. But as a neutral, this would have been a tough watch. I'm not going to lie. This would have been a really tough watch. We'll start with the offense. There's really only two things I can really say that are positive, or I guess a couple small positives. We'll get into them. First was Devontae Smith coming up clutch. Jalen Hurts hits him on a deep ball in the fourth quarter, and he just makes a great catch. I mean, this is just what this guy does. I feel like Devontae Smith has really stepped up this year. Not that he hasn't in the last couple years. It's just been a very crowded room, both for receivers and just overall offensive skill players. But he's just made some huge plays this year. He stepped up, and that was just, again, a huge play, especially in the moment. You know, it was only 3-0. We needed a score there. We needed something, and he stepped up, and I just wanted to give him credit for that. On the same drive, Hurts did hit Barkley for a huge play in the receiving game. Barkley just really did what he did. He did a little stutter step, spin move. He just decided, I think he ran, it was 35, 40 yards after that. He made a huge play and got them into that position to at least score the touchdown. And shout out to A.J. Brown as well for having some great blocking on that play. I know he wasn't very involved in the game, but the fact that he's still mentally locked in and making those plays, you don't see that from every receiver, especially in the cold. It's just not going your night, especially the team's, just the team's way in general. And you're still putting in that effort. I love seeing that from both of those players. Also, I want to say Dallas Goedert was decently involved in the passing game. The Eagles continue to get him involved over the last couple years. Hurts really just loves Dallas Goedert, whether it's on that RPO play that they run in that kind of short yardage position where they always go to the outside, or even hitting him a couple times over the middle. It was pretty good. Other than that, there really was not many positives for the offense last night. So let's get into the negatives. Hurts just did not play good last night. I would say it's maybe his worst game this year other than the Giants game. He just had multiple throws that just were not where they needed to be. Again, these things happen. I would have liked to see him be better, though, in this moment. But at the same time, and I always say this with Jalen Hurts, he still makes the winning play. He still, threw the game-winning touchdown. So I will give him credit there. But overall, in my opinion, for a guy that sees Jalen Hurts as a top 5 quarterback, I was disappointed last night. The accuracy just wasn't there. He was sailing a lot of balls. The fumble on the first drive was just not needed. It's not what he does. He hasn't turned the football over much. It was just his third one this year. But still, in that situation, again, it was a 9-minute drive to open the game. That was tough. So I would have liked to see just Jalen play a little bit better. And now transitioning into the pass game, man, A.J. Brown, again, only 2 catches. I don't know if that's a Hurts thing. I don't know if that's a Patullo thing. I don't know what it is. And I will give credit to Green Bay's defense. They played really, really good last night. But, man, to get this guy only 2 catches, we can't do better than that. Again, it's another week of A.J. Brown just not getting involved much. Again, I gave him credit for the run blocking, but I just think we got to get this guy involved. I mean, he is literally the best playmaker on your team just from catching the football, and he's just not really involved. So I do think that's a key problem to continue to try to address. I thought they were making some progress with it in the Minnesota game, but we're kind of back to square one. So hoping to see that be better. And then overall, just the offensive line, when it comes to run blocking, it just is so bad. I thought they were building off of this in the Giants game. Maybe that said more about the Giants than the Eagles' offensive line. But my God, the offensive line was just bad. There was multiple penalties that set them back. And they just cannot run block. It's just, they can't. You're trying to get the run game established, and you just can't. It's just killing them. I thought pass block wise, especially the situation they were put in, where Lane Johnson does go out and you still got to block Micah Parsons. I thought they did a pretty good job, but run blocking it just needs to be better. I mean, they just can't block. They can't block at all. It just was not good. You just couldn't do anything on that end. I guess I will say this is one last positive. Shout out to Lane Johnson for coming back in the game. I don't know how he came back into the game. I thought he was done potentially for the year when it happened. For him to come back into that game, this is just what the guy does. This guy's a warrior, one of the best Eagles of all time. But man, the overall just offense was just not it last night. And then that will take me into the offensive coaching. Patullo, again, it just feels like the play calling regressed. It feels like, again, it took a step back. And I thought they were making some progress the last 2 weeks with the Minnesota game. They were really opening up the pass game. And then, the Giants game, it just was probably his best play calling overall this season. I thought, he's been doing at least a really good job in the red zone. He's getting the run game going. He's getting the passing game going against the Giants in that game. But this was just not it. It was just, again, too conservative. Just conservative. It just felt conservative. I know teams were struggling, but man, and you really were not getting much run blocking. But some of these third and longs, you don't even give the Eagles a chance, and it just didn't feel like it was enough. And obviously, again, AJ Brown's not involved. I just have to go there. It just did not feel like the play calling was good enough. And my last thing about the offense, and it's another negative. Nick Sirianni, what were you thinking there when you were going for it? I watched it back before recording this to just try to understand, and it still didn't make sense to me. I thought they were going to try to do a hard count maybe just to do it, but man, it just didn't make any sense. Why don't you just punt the football? You put them in a better position. I know what you were trying to do. You're trying to either get a flag there or AJ catches it, but I just thought it was a little too risky for me. That was too much, especially the way your defense was playing all night. That was just way, way too risky. Just not good enough. I thought Nick did a decent job at coaching, getting them ready for this situation, especially being on the road, in the cold, coming off the bye. But that was just a bad decision. I just did not like that. And overall, it was just a bad day for the offense. They at least get it enough done to win, but it needs to be better moving forward. Now we get to the defense. I thought the defense had their game of the year. It was their best game of the year, in my opinion. You hold the Packers to a touchdown, just a touchdown. I know the Packers have been struggling. I know they've had some issues, but still, that is, in my opinion, a pretty good play caller on the other side of that team. And you're still going against a pretty solid quarterback. You're going against a pretty good offensive line. You're going against a really good running back. Like, there was still stuff there on that side, and I just thought that the Eagles defense just did, again, such a good job. Numerous stops. You get Jordan Love to fumble, though I don't even know how much that was really you. He kind of just threw it up in the air, but you recover, especially at the end of the game as well on that last stop to win the game. Jalen Phillips, the new addition from Miami, man, did he play one hell of a game. Involved in multiple tackles. They get a couple tackles for losses. He strips the football to win the game. What a performance by him. I just loved what I saw from the defense. I mean, Quinyon Mitchell all over the place, just completely shutting down any type of passing game that was coming his way. I thought Reed Blankenship had a huge passing completion or pass breakup at the end of the game. He had a huge one on a third down. I thought Adoree Jackson looked all right last night, which was shocking. Nakobe Dean looked amazing. He was all over the place. He looked like 2024 pre-injury Nakobe Dean. Like, he literally was all over the place. And the pass rush as well. And just overall, the D-line played pretty good. Jalix Hunt got a sack. I know someone else got a sack. I'm trying to remember if it maybe was Hunt or someone else did. I know someone did, but they were getting some pressure there. I thought the D-line, again, just from a pass rushing standpoint, looked a lot better. And then, man, oh man, Ajomo, Jalen Carter, and Jordan Davis. What a game in the trenches. Dude, Ajomo, he literally was pointing out the inside zone on the last 4th and 1. Jordan Davis was involved in a lot of tackles, and Jalen Carter also involved in multiple tackles, and he even had a couple balls deflected just because of how much of a freak he is. I just loved, again, what I saw from the Eagles defense. It was their best performance probably of the season, and it makes me feel extremely confident about this group moving forward because at this point we have to say the Eagles offense is inconsistent. I don't know what I'm getting out of the Eagles offense every single week, which is scary because we're this late into the season. It's almost the middle of November. But at the same time, I feel really, really good about this defense. Other than the Giants game in MetLife, this defense has not had a bad day. So I feel really, really good about them. Young guys are starting to click. Jalen Phillips, again, making his presence known in his first game with the Eagles. I just loved what I saw. These guys are just a bunch of dogs. There's still a bunch of young guys as well, just developing, getting their their feet wet in the NFL. It was just great stuff to see, and I just love this. Again, I feel like we don't do this enough, especially because we've been spoiled as Eagles fans. But to have this unit of a defense and this guy, and so many of these guys are so young. Like, we are just blessed, man. I mean, again, I think back to those early 2010s defenses. I mean, those defenses were Swiss cheese. And just to see that this is, the product that we're getting consistently every week, I'm forever grateful. It's a great watch. And my overall takeaways for this game is Eagles have the number 1 seed. This game was huge. I know people are saying it was an ugly win, including myself, and it was. It was ugly. I'm not going to sugarcoat it in any way. But at the same time, I can't understate how big of a win it was with the next 2 games that you have, which I'll get into in just a second. You're coming off the bye. You win the game on the road. You beat Green Bay. You've now beaten Green Bay 4 straight times with Jalen Hurts as well, which is wild. And Green Bay wanted this game after losing twice to you last year, especially in the wild card. And you went into their building. They also get Michael Parsons, who's very familiar with us, and you still beat them. I thought that was huge. It keeps you in the 1 seed as well. It was just a monster win for the Eagles. And then when we look at the next couple of weeks, you now have Detroit at home next Sunday night, which is going to be phenomenal football. And then you have Dallas the week after that. I think these 2 games, if you can even split here, I mean, preferably if you can go 3-0, it would be great. But if you even split here, I think this just puts you in a fantastic position. Again, you're the number 1 seed now. You control your destiny. You just keep winning football games, you're going to get it done. So very, very excited to see where the Eagles go from this. And again, it wasn't the prettiest win, but my God, did it really impact the standings in a great way? Yes, it did. Really, really loved what I saw from the Eagles. But yeah, that's all I had in this one. Again, not the longest recap because there just wasn't much to recap. But hey, the Eagles win. We'll take it. And if you enjoy this video, feel free to give it a like. If you enjoy this type of content, feel free to subscribe. We're going to be continuing to make videos about the Eagles and the rest of the NFL. If you're interested in any of my short-term content, that will be in my description down below with my TikTok. And if you made it this far into the video, I greatly, greatly appreciate you. And I will see you guys on the next one. Peace, guys.